The Honourable Member for Banjul South.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, I would first of all like to thank the committee clerks of this August House for the great work that they have done by spending the whole night in this August Assembly preparing a report for us. I thank you, clerks of the National Assembly. Honorable Speaker, I think looking at the Honorable Minister's statement and looking at the budget, I think that our government does not love this country. They do not have the feeling to nurture our children in this country. Honorable Speaker, $6 billion in salaries alone, not in administrative cost. Honorable Speaker, and we say we are a poor country. Honorable Speaker, the median age in this country is 19 years old. We should consider the life and the livelihood of our children. We should be investing in education. We should be investing in health rather than paying ourselves, feeding ourselves out of the poor people of this country. I will start with this August Assembly, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, to see the salary of the Honorable Speaker increased from 658 million to 658,000 to 1,560,000, I feel ashamed to call myself an honorable member, Honorable Speaker. I gave myself for service. I did not give myself for the poor people to feed me and my family, Honorable Speaker. When I saw this, I felt embarrassed. I did not want to come to this budget session because I said to myself, there is no need, because we are just sharing the cake in our pockets, going home, feeding ourselves. Not only that, but to see the responsibility allowance, the residential allowance, the robin allowance, and all those for the representatives of the people. It is embarrassing for me to go back to my poor constituency and tell them that the meager resources of this country, I am paid that much at your expense. I took an oath, Honorable Speaker, to serve and to give back to my society, not to enrich myself. And even if I go to the Constitution, Honorable Speaker, it says that we shouldn't deliberately enrich ourselves. And increasing our salaries is deliberately enriching ourselves. And that is an embarrassment. I think as a National Assembly, we should not accept any salary increment. It was in this August Assembly that we sat and discussed the salaries of the ministers and denied them, even though they went behind our backs and increased it. That is their problem. We offered ourselves for service, Honorable Speaker. We were not appointed. We were elected and we offered ourselves, Honorable Speaker. And I think we should think of our people when we do the budget. I'm not allowing you to observe me. I don't have that time. When you are on your own feet, observe yourself, please.
The Senate has clarified the $800 million World Bank post-petrol subsidy removal facility was not a loan, but an assistance from the multilateral institution to help vulnerable Nigerians who are currently finding it difficult due to the challenges that came with the petrol subsidy removal. The clarification from the government came just as human rights lawyer Femi Falana described as callous and insensitive the decision of members of the National Assembly to provide 110 billion naira for themselves in the 2023 Supplementary Appropriation Bill. The Red Chamber also stated that the data from the disbursement of 8,000 naira to 12 million poor families for 6 months was thoroughly scrutinized before it gave approval to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration to access the facility. Well, in the meantime, a spokesperson for the Senate says no member of the National Assembly will receive any money from the 70 billion naira budgeted to support their working conditions. The Senate says the fund is for purchase of furniture and to carry out repairs in lawmakers' offices. Ayo, you know I'm coming to you on the story because the clarification for me is not clear.
Yes.
And I'd like to ask you if we have been hearing about this $800 million loan facility from the World Bank. We've known that it is a loan. So what is this clarification? I really don't understand where that is. There needs to be more clarification on this. But I think really the bone of contention also is that 70 billion naira that was allocated to lawmakers for what? Buying furniture,
yes,
and repairing their furniture. They're saying that the money is not going to go into
the new lawmakers.
I mean, this is I think that's even worse for me because I saw a story in Borno State that the governor, Babagana Zulum, had gone into a general hospital in Gwaza in his state and found that there was no electricity in that hospital. Now, that provision, that breakdown, was there any palliative for these types of... this is what we need. This is a palliative that we need in the hospital. We need generators. We need all of that. Not furniture for lawmakers, for crying out loud. Ayo.
Thank you very much for linking those stories together. By the way, 4 weeks ago as well, the Sokoto State Governor, Governor Aliyu, had also gone on a visit to the hospitals disguised. The same thing Governor Zulum did and found the same state, no power, misappropriation of funds, horrible and despicable state of the hospital, and this was, he said he would look into it. We haven't heard anything yet in terms of what he's done. But let's go back to the story with regards to this the mystery of the $800 million from the World Bank. Is it a loan? Is it a facility to help? And if it's a facility to help, and by the way, this explanation was important because of the fact that they were criticized for how expeditiously they had passed passed it in the House. And they said, the reason was because it was not a loan, so Nigeria wasn't going to be plunged into further debt. It was money that had been earmarked to support the removal of subsidy in Nigeria, hence why it was passed. However, they say that there's no free money even in Freetown. I would like to ask the lawmakers to give us details in terms of were there any conditions to this facility that was given to Nigerians, or is it is it money that was given with no strings attached? We need to be clear, because unfortunately this clarification has even brought up even more questions. We know how the World Bank operates. They are not a charity organization. They often don't go, yes, they might give to further causes like gender parity and the likes, but in terms of bailing countries out, it'd be important to understand so that we're clear that is this a loan or is this just goodwill? Then the other part in terms of the money, 70 billion naira, you said it. In terms of the 8,000 naira, look at that side by side, the money allocated to poor Nigerians, 12 million families, and that is out of, saying it will reach up to 60 million people. That is still shortage of the 133 million Nigerians who are said to be living in multidimensional poverty. Beyond that, you're sharing 70 billion naira to the National Assembly to support the working conditions. They haven't started work yet, at least the 10th National Assembly, in terms of fully said work, and they are getting this largesse of 70 billion naira. It begs to question because it is not reflective of the state of the nation.
Absolutely
and
not.
That's what people criticize again and again the government for. We are talking about a cut in cost of governance. We need to tighten our belt, but it seems that it's only the people who have to tighten their belt, whilst the National Assembly, members of the House, it's business as usual. It's not business as usual. No. We're saying that things are hard, things are difficult, and therefore they ought to also tighten their belt. Like you mentioned, great recommendation. Let that money, I hope the House of Assembly members themselves morally would speak out against this and say they want to donate the money that is meant to come to them for repairs to hospitals like the ones in Sokoto, like the ones in Borno State, to improve their lot.
Exactly. Well said, Ayo. We don't have enough time for the next story, so I'd like your contribution on both.
No, just a brief clarification.
Okay.
One, the World Bank country director, Dr. Shaduri, last year, or was it this year, made it clear that it is a loan.
I've never heard of
it. $800 million from the World Bank is a loan.
I mean,
it was approved by the World Bank Board in 2021, in December 2021. It was the
safety net.
Buhari government that applied for it to, provide social safety net, social intervention for Nigerians. And they were specific. This $800 million at that time was meant for this same cash transfer to Nigerian households.
Absolutely.
The World Bank has made it very clear. So, I don't know. This is why people laugh at us.
A whole
senator who speaks for the Senate, he doesn't even know what is going on. Just advertising ignorance. How do these kind of characters get a chance to speak for anybody in any important forum? And when you take money, you will pay. Zainab Ahmed, the former Minister of Finance, has made it clear that the World Bank is going to give this money in tranches. In fact, the Buhari administration was planning to write to the Senate for approval, but they held on to it. And that is why it is this Tinubu administration that has not gone ahead to apply to the Senate for its own approval. And I keep telling people, this money, the senators approving it, they have borrowed the money on behalf of all of us. So, and we are the ones who will pay it back.
I want to take Rufai's comments so we can end the show quickly.
You can see how our senators lie to us.
Yeah.
Orji, that thing is as a loan gets, it's a loan. See, it's at interest rates 2.5% for 30 years. That $800 million is at interest rates 2.5% for 30 years. The interest rate was quite low, very concessionary loan, but for 30 years, payment regime at 2.5%. So it's a loan. They should stop deceiving and lying to us.
And we have to pay back. Well, I guess that's all we have. Yes.
It is. Even our grandchildren will meet the debts.
This is the problem, and we have to pay back. So this palliative, please, we need to distribute it properly. They need to go to these hospitals and all of these places.
But before they speak, this your government officials. let them at least do small research.
All right. Well, all right.
Just to come and